It's
Just
five,
no, that's
four, three, two, one. Thank you. Good evening. Welcome to the February 11th edition of the Community Development Advisory Committee. I want to wish everybody here in the Council Chambers a Happy New Year. Everyone watching at home a Happy New Year. Roll call, we have Wendy and Jagger who are absent, and welcome your worship, Mayor Colin Grantham in attendance this evening with us. Approval of the agenda, recommendation that the February 11th, 2025 Community Development Advisory Committee meeting agenda be approved as circulated. Moved by Brad, seconded by Steve. Any comments, questions? All in favor? Carried. Thank you. Any declaration of pecuniary interest this evening? Seeing none, we'll move to the approval of the minutes. Recommendation that the CDAC meeting minutes of November 26th, 2024 be approved as written. Need a mover and a seconder for that, please. Councillor Kaufman, seconded by Councillor Pammer. Any comments, questions, concerns about the minutes? All in favor? Carried. Thank you. Agenda item number 5, unfinished business, advertising strategy. Would that be you, Director Wilborn?
Thank you, Chair. This is just on the agenda because it was in the last, was at the last meeting where I brought this forward, asking the committee to review, and if you had any suggestions or comments, send it back to me. I did receive a couple with regards to some spelling mistakes. It really was just on the last page. Not receiving any other information. This item is going to come off the agenda until there's a final draft that I can bring forward to the committee to review. There's a couple things that we still need to work on around digital assets, and we'll be waiting for the new communications coordinator to start, so I can make sure that we're not missing anything from that aspect. So this item will come off the agenda, so you won't see it again until it's a final product.
Questions, comments? Councillor Buckland.
Just one question, just while you mentioned digital assets. I was assuming that digital assets meant TV screens and stuff in the buildings, but are we considering advertising on our own website and platforms like social media and stuff?
Through the chair, no, that's not what we're considering. Digital assets could be if we ever get into like the display boards in the downtown right now, right? Something like that, but not on our municipal website and our Facebook apps and stuff like that. So no.
Any other questions or comments? Councillor Wilsey.
Just into that, what about the podcast and that we're doing through economic development now, where there could be sponsorships or different things like that? Have we considered that, or partnerships, or different things like that? Or maybe that would all be clever under digital assets, but I just don't know if we need to spell that up or not.
Director.
Thank you, Chair. To Councillor Wilsey, we'll take that, just written it down, and we'll talk to Heather and our communications people to see what they think.
Any other questions or comments? Okay, move on to 5.2 Community Events Program Application Review. 5.2.1 Promotional Material. Is that you, Director, or is that Kate Topham, or?
It'll be me.
Okay, go ahead.
I'm going to share my screen so so those that are home that are watching can see what we have. And Kate, you can pop in if you like, if I'm missing anything. Melanie needs to let me share my screen. In the package, so what we've done, and this actually stemmed from a couple meetings ago where I think it was Councillor Pammer was talking about the Progressive Partnership. I think it was also Councillor Wilsey about the display or how we communicate, and we just kind of have a list of all of the activities or the programs, or I guess projects for PTP, and how we could better present that to the public. So we've actually gone across, you'll see tonight, we've created a bunch of different flyers, little handouts that can be promotional materials for our different activities. Now I just need to figure out where I want to go here with this. as I'm trying to navigate technology anymore. That is why they're not showing up. What is going on?
Where we need some music or something.
No, it's interesting that I had this uploaded earlier today, and there we go. Okay. So on the screen now is
Brad,
just.
could you turn your mic on, please?
I am
Thank you.
sorry, Chair. What's on the screen now is the community events program. So we did have a number of applications this year that council has approved. We had one that got sent back. So we want to get the word out to more organizations. So we felt this would be a good way to help communicate the different programs that we have. So during the market that we'll be having in the downtown, this will become one of those staples that you'll see at the market, along with the progress through partnership lists and so on. The review of the community events program, so we're in the process of reviewing that document as well to see what we can do to make it better. We've committed as a staff to actually take one of our events, and correct me if I'm wrong, I don't know which event it would be, maybe Ribfest, and we will fill out an application as if we were going to apply for the funds. And that will become the example that we're going to send around to those organizations that want to apply to the CEP, so they get a better understanding of what we're looking for when we're starting to review the applications. Because if you remember when we met at the end of last year, no, I guess it was just in January, some of the applications weren't filled out as good as some other applications were filled out, and all applications were actually missing some component, not critical components, but we're missing some components. So we just want to be able to provide this committee with thorough applications completely filled out so we can make the best decisions possible. And this flyer is just a way that we can help promote that program. So open for any questions.
Floor is open. Questions, comments? Councillor Popham.
I just think that these were done fabulously. I love the fact that they used current examples on the sheet. They look great. They're easy to read. You can get the gist of what we're trying to do in just a minute or less. Yeah, I think they're great.
Any other questions or comments? Councillor Wilsey.
I think the things are, I like the brochures as well, both of them. The only comment I would make, and it's more just a suggestion for the next phase when we're doing the example report, make up a fictitious name for whoever's doing the Ribfest, so it's not the municipality, because what I would hate to see is that the Strathroy just doing then you don't know where the municipality is and where your name's going to go. So just as an example for clarity, because I have seen some, not necessarily from here, but from different places where somebody did one for themselves, but you don't know where your name goes and where the municipality goes, and just to make that clear.
That's a good point. Any other questions or comments? Okay.
If I could just add,
Yeah, go ahead.
I have to give credit where credit's due. The brochures were created by Kate, so I almost called you Crate, but by Kate. So she's our resident Canva expert in the department, so she's helping us pull some of this stuff together. So,
Way to think out of the box, Kate. Reports of committees and departments. Recommendation that reports from committees and departments be received for information. I need a mover and a seconder for that. Councillor Popham. Anyone want to second that? Brad. All in favor? Okay. I'm just following the list. 6.1 progress through partnership 2025 list of projects updated.
So again, this was just another one of those items that we've changed the formatting of it. You remember the old list, it used to be an Excel spreadsheet, pretty much my capabilities when it comes to artwork. So Kate, again, has been able to take all of that information that we have on that spreadsheet, as well as what the mandate was out of the CDAC terms of reference, and has created the flyer that we have. This one is a 2-page flyer, or actually, no, it's 1 page. 2-page, you're right. A 2-page flyer giving a list of projects on the backside, ranging from the $5,000 range up to over $50,000. So if there are projects that are not on this list that council would like to, or council CDAC would like on this list, please let us know. We can always add them. These are not restrictive lists. So if a member of the public or an organization or a business comes forward and they have an idea, then that idea would come to this group for some discussion and direction.
Questions, comments? Okay, thank you, Director. Item 7, new business registration updates. I would assume Paul Lattimore with camps.
Thank you, Chair. I'm going to squeeze in with some winter updates as well. Our registration for winter programs have gone really well again. We've got about 703 registrations right now between our registered programs and our drop-in. So that's even up from where we were a year ago. So again, on track, doing really well there. We got a few new programs like our Dungeons and Dragons program, trying to diversify our program so it's not just all sports. We did try to run art. We didn't get enough registrations for that, so that's one that we're trying to grow as well. And again, as you say, diversified. But our junior trades programs continue to pick up pace again, so we're almost full in both of those. So really happy with registration for winter programs. We're on track for our targets that were set for the beginning of the year. Moving to camp. I don't know if we've talked about this already, because I don't think we met in January, did we? So we opened up beginning of January, and we talked about it last year, how busy our first day was. I think we were 550 registrations. We were 1,263 this year on the very first day of camp, which is more than we've had most years in the past. So you see that growing demand is there. We did drop the early bird as well this year, and it didn't seem to have any deterrent. So we're currently at 1,687, so we're about 150 away from our last year's registration, and we're about 300 away from totally selling out every camp. So aquatic camps are already all sold out. Most of the sports camps and specialty camps as well, and just working our way through the theme camps. So again, registration going really well. We're in the process of recruitment now, so we're working on camp directors, so just waiting for a contract to be signed there, and then we'll keep working our way down. And again, I don't know if you remember last year, now that we're using the UKG system, it's much easier to track our applications. And for camp positions, we've currently, and still open to the end of the week, have 82 applications. So, which is great because we keep needing more staff. But really good, and our retention is going well for that program as well. Almost, I'd say probably about 90–95% of the staff from last year look like they may be coming back. So really good on that front. Aquatics, we opened up aquatics the same, a week later than we did camp. So that's about 2 months earlier than we did last year, which was earlier than the year before. And we're pretty much on the same pace as we are starting later. So really good on that front as well, ahead of the pace. So certainly makes our recruitment for that program easier as well when we know what we have, what we need to cover. So really good on those fronts, and we're working on the recruitment there. We already have our aquatic supervisor returning, so that's a boost to that program. Morgan Lawlick did a wonderful job last year, and she'll continue this year. We are at I've got the numbers here, 494 for lessons. We're already developing a wait list in aquatics, which is sooner than usual as well. So again, demand for the programs are good. And our swim team is up to 61 already. I don't know if you remember, we've implemented a recreational team. It actually has the most registrations right now, more than the 2 competitive times. So really seeing that demand and again, trying to accommodate greater needs so that we can sustain that program. So really happy with the way those numbers are going, and yeah, we're off and running. Thinking about summer.
Any questions for Paul regarding camps or swimming lessons? Councillor Wilson.
The early bird program that we didn't do this year, was that just registering earlier, or was that a discounted rates, or what was that we didn't do?
That's a discounted rate, yeah.
Okay.
It was a 5% discount for early bird.
Mayor Grantham.
Thank you, and I apologize for the question, but I did, when I go down to non-resident, do we start with our residents, or is it just wide open for everybody at the start?
Currently, it's still wide open.
Any other questions or comments? Actually, I have a question for Paul. As far as camps, are they mainly, other than the pool, obviously, are they mainly focused in the Strathroy proper area, or are there camps happening in Ward 2?
Currently, no camps in Ward 2. They're all in Strathroy.
Any other questions, comments? Okay, market update with Kate.
So we opened the market the same day we opened aquatics, which was the 2nd week of January. We sit at 62 applications. 8 of those are BIA members, and 12 are full-time seasonal. For the 2025 market season, we kick off with our night market, and we do that so that we're not competing with any other markets that are opening the same day. Almost all markets open the same long weekend, so by us doing a night market, then there's not that same competition. May 24th is our community day. We've been doing that for the last 3 years, where not-for-profit groups get a free booth space to come. And then this year we've added May 31st is a youth booth day. So youth can come for free and do spaces there. We've added a 4th night market this year. So our May 17th, August 2nd, and then we've added September 20th in lieu of a fall market. Over the last 2 years, our fall market registration has not been high enough for it to make sense to do. So this is kind of an in-between. We'll have one extra night market. And then we will do the hometown Christmas market again in November. Just if there is anyone who's watching this, BIA members get free booth space as part of our agreement with the Downtown Strathroy BIA. So if you've got a business downtown, we have space for you at the market.
Any questions for Kate regarding the market? Councillor Wilson.
Will there be a report either on this year's or next year's, just showing us staff time and cost for the market and how many people attended for the regular meetings? The questions I've been getting is how much it costs and how many people are attending, and I haven't found a really good way without guessing to answer those questions. Just don't know if that'll be coming, maybe not for this meeting for sure, but maybe at a future meeting.
Do you mean like attendees of the market, like
Yes.
patrons who come?
Yeah, like how many people come to the market? Like, I thought we saw something on one of the slides before,
Yeah.
but then I saw that and then I put that together with the budget, but then the budget didn't include the staff cost. So there was a few different numbers that weren't in there, so I've never been able to say what it cost to put it in.
So, like attendee-wise, as market vendors or people who are coming to the market?
There's people who are attending the market. I thought we had some rough counts on
Yeah, so
the
we do a
different-
rough count. We try and do rough count each week, but there is only one staff member at the market. So if you're pulled away, we try and do an hourly count and average it out. Earlier in the season, there's about 400 people who attend. Peak season, it's anywhere between 600 to 1,000, I'd say. And then night markets we see between 2,500 and 3,000.
Is there a way we get that? Like, if you've got all the data, could we just get the data in writing? like just written down like what you think the average people are
Yeah.
for the different ones, and then what the cost for the season was. So that's more what people are asking me. So if I could get that, I could figure out at least to get back to the people who are asking me questions.
Yeah. Rob, do you see any issue with that?
Through the chair, I don't see an issue gathering, again, the cost to run the markets from a staff perspective. It's gonna be a bit of a ballpark for you, because I'll use Sid as an example, who opens and closes the roads and so on. He doesn't just do the market on the Saturday, he'll go and do other work as well, so we'll try to, narrow that down, see how much time he spends at the market and so on, but it'll be close, it just won't be 100%.
Yeah, and I'm not looking for it to be a formal report or a lot of time. It's mostly what I've had people asking me is how many people come to the market, how much are we supporting some of the things that go on in Mount Bridges or the other events around, and how much are we spending there compared to different towns. And just people are asking me questions, and I don't have answers for them. So I don't want a lot of.
So are you looking for a weekly report from Kate or a year-end report?
No, like just a year-end report, because I know we've got the amount in the budget that was for the market, and we've got however much staff is used for opening and closing, and then however many people show up, and then we can just take a look and just see where it's at.
So, through the chair, if it's okay with regards to 2024, can we do an average over the year? Is that fine?
Yeah, that's fine. Like just, and again, I'm not trying to make a big work project. I'm just, it's a general interest question that people have asked me, and I've never, if I start averaging up things from here and then putting staff time in and looking at how many people on average, like it ends up being a crazy amount per person, and I don't want to tell somebody that because that would make us look foolish. So I'd rather use the actual numbers.
Sorry, Chair.
Yes, go ahead.
We can also provide, in previous reports to council, not this council, but previous councils, we also provide an economic factor. So the value that was spent at the market as an example, right? So let's just say on average, $15 is spent per person that comes to the market. So we have those numbers as well that we can provide. So you get a good idea of what kind of economic spin-off the market's providing.
Brad and Councillor Pelkman.
Thanks, Chair. Oh, to Kate, if I can. Kate, have you noticed in the last couple of years the vendor, the numbers of vendors we have? Are they steady, going down, going up? Only overall for the year kind of thing.
So I've been here 3 years, I've done 3 years of market, and the vendor numbers have stayed almost the same, usually up by 1 or 2 when it comes to seasonal vendors. I will say I've seen a big change in what products are being sold. We have significantly less produce vendors, but we're also, so in our second year, had a lot of multi-level marketing vendors. That's gone down. Produce, we're still kind of holding strong, and majority of those changes in produce are actually retirements, so we're happy for them, I guess.
Thanks.
Councillor Pelkman.
I was just gonna say the value to me of the market isn't how much the market costs us, but the fact that those people are all staying in town. When I look back to, I'll say the 7 or 8 years I was running the Canada Day fireworks, if Canada Day fell on a weekend, we had a tough decision to make as to when to hold the fireworks, because so many people left Strathroy. They went to Grand Bend and Port Franks and Port Stanley and London and wherever else. And now when you see all these people down at the market, they're not leaving town. And to me, that's the value, because then they go and do their other errands and go to our grocery stores or Canadian Tire or whatever other stores to get their stuff done, and they're not spending money at our restaurants and not restaurants in some other town. So to me, that's the true value of the market.
Steve.
I think I'd like to see at the market, if we were going to push it, the fact that everything be grown or produced or made locally, and push this big made in Canada thing. So with what we're dealing with right now, with possibly, a trade war, stuff like that, if we could push the market as a way of selling Canadian products that are made locally here, maybe we'd see an uptick in the market, not just window shopping where people are just walking through it, but where they're actually starting to purchase and do it on a regular basis, and maybe support more of our local suppliers. That would be the hope this year on that market that we potentially could see.
Okay, thank you, Steve. I have a question for Kate. Are downtown businesses allowed to participate in the market? Like as far as, let me try and rephrase that. If they want to participate in the market, do they have to have something out on the street? Or are they automatically included in the market with no cost or whatnot because they're downtown?
So any VIA member of the Grand Frank front or any of the outlying streets can have a booth space at the market, but they're also welcome to be open in their storefront.
Okay, perfect. Thank you. Any other questions, comments regarding the market for Kate? I kind of want to jump back to camp because I still have a question for Paul if I could. Can I do that?
You're the chair.
I know. I want to preface it by saying that's awesome that the municipality has received so many registrations already. And you mentioned about we're almost to the point where we're going to sell out soon. When you say sell out, does that mean that we have not, the municipality has not enough staff, or you have not enough facilities to offer more? Like, are you capped out as far as amenities?
We're capped out in terms of the number of spaces that we're able to provide as a maximum. Could we go higher? Possibly, but it's this formula that doesn't really exist of how we balance quality and quantity and making sure. I think a big part of our success and why we're selling out as quick as we do is because of that quality that we've been able to provide, and we teeter in compromising that when we try to push numbers. Would we love to expand out to other facilities? And it's certainly something that we've discussed about trying Mount Bridges. It comes to primarily to the amenities, and a big part of our success and why you see the bulk of our camps at Western Hillside is the pool. It's a staple in our camp program, and certainly in the feedback that we get from families as well. So that's a big reason why, because we used to run some off-site camps at the Christian school, and they weren't as well received because the amenities weren't the same. So that's been just a little insight into the reasoning as to why we've kind of funneled our programs mostly there. And then up at Gemini when we're doing ICE programs and some of the things that we use the high school for.
So I appreciate you taking my question and let me jump back there a couple of spots. Thank you. Schedule of fees, 7.2.1 comparators. Director?
Thank you, Chair. This has come about when we were doing schedule of fees for council, and typically community services will do fees for 2025 and also present fees for 2026. And the reason that we do that is because the minor sporting groups are trying to always get a year ahead, so they have an idea of what the costs are going to be. The challenge that we have when we do that is from a point of making sure that we're still being competitive in comparison to our comparators. So what we've done this year is we submitted our 2025 fees, which don't take effect till May 1st. And then while we're going through 2025, we're going to go out to our comparators and we're going to be asking them a slew of questions. Essentially what all of their fees are compared to our fees. We want to know what, if they have a capital surcharge, and what is that capital surcharge? So is that a capital surcharge only on ice time? And is it a dollar value, or is it a percentage? Is that capital surcharge on all recreation programming and facility rentals? Is it a fee-based, or is it a percentage-based, right? So we're going to be asking those questions. And the same thing with the non-resident fee. We want to know are we charging, are our comparators charging, a $2 fee for a non-resident, or are they charging a 10% fee for non-resident, or are they not charging at all? Okay. And then the other one, which his worship alluded to, was our residents, do they have preferential treatment when signing up? And currently they don't. We do have the capabilities through our booking software where we can flag postal codes. So if the person has a Strathroy postal code, they would be able to register, say for a week before we open it up to outside individuals. So we do have some of those capabilities. We need to do a little bit of research on that before we could commit. But that's all going to come back to, we'll bring it to this committee so you can see it before we take it up to council. But I would hope to have that to council probably, I think it's identified in the strategic priorities as June, having it to go to council at that point for some further discussion. So I just wanted to put it on the radar of this group, let you know that that's what we're up to and that's what we're doing. So I'm not sure if anyone has any questions, thoughts, or concerns. We do compare ourselves to all of our lower tier municipalities in the county, but we also go out to other municipalities that offer similar services and similar population.
Floor is open. Councillor Wilson.
When we get that report back, are you gonna be looking at our operations cost, so how much it costs for staff and everything, and to run the facilities, to put that back together? And then the other question, and this can come in a later report, I don't need any answers tonight, but if we look at that, are we also looking at how much it costs to maintain? Because if we have to replace a compressor at an arena, or we had to do the brickwork at West Middlesex, like we've spent over, just those two projects alone are close to $1 million we spent this year. And I don't know if that's reflected in our rates or what our cost recovery is for that, or if that's just something the taxpayers are paying for just to be a capital expense. So it's just a little bit more details on what the fees cover. And specifically, kind of my thought that brought up the fee discussion, at least the last few times, is I'm going to bring up the example of Mount Bridges. You probably heard it lots of times with the community center. I think it was pickleball, as the resident told me about, is that we had a staff member, I spoke to him one day because my daughter left her shoes there after skills. So I went to pick up the shoes, and I was talking to the staff member, and he had said that he had to get one of the township cars and drive out there to collect money from the people playing pickleball, and he was collecting $1.75 from like the 8 people who showed up, and then had to wait to close up after they were done. So by the time I put that in, you're driving a car back and forth, and we're only collecting like $8, and he's got to stay there for 2 hours. Plus there's that time to keep the facility open, and I realize whether it's empty or full doesn't cost a lot different, but there's still that time where it's not rented or available to anybody else. I hope all those things are just kind of captured in the report. Those are just kind of the thoughts that I kind of have that I'd like to see in the discussion when it comes back.
Through the chair to Councillor Wilson, sure, we can attempt to pull all of that into a report. What I can tell you right now is our user fees that we collect today do not include capital costs. They've never included capital costs. It's no different than a road. If a road needs to be resurfaced, it comes out of capital, either through reserves or through taxation. So our user fees don't. Our user fees only cover operational expenses, not operational capital or new capital. It's only ever been operational. If there's a capital surcharge applied, if that's the approach council chooses to go, then that capital surcharge would then be, and again, that's council's decision, I would assume, would be allocated into a reserve fund for whatever we're collecting it for. If we're collecting 5% on every hour of ice time that's rented, then I would suspect that 5% for every hour of ice time was rented would go into a capital reserve fund for the arenas. If we're collecting 5% capital surcharge on recreation programming, I would suspect that monies would be collected and go into a reserve fund for recreation programming. But the user fees have never been calculated to include operational capital, or maintenance capital, sorry, or new capital.
Steve?
When we're looking at this, do we calculate volume that's purchased? So an example would be ice time. Let's say minor hockey is going to rent 4,000 hours from us or 400 hours, would they then get a better treatment or a better rate because they're actually purchasing that much volume?
Through the chair to
Steve.
Steve. I was going to call you Councilor Derbyshire.
There you go.
Jeez.
I only weigh about half.
So to answer your question, the way you asked it, no, they don't get a discount on volume, but they get a discount because they're a minor sporting organization. So they get about a 15% reduction off of prime. So minor hockey would pay $185, I'm guessing, Kate, and an adult prime rate, actually not adult prime, just prime rate is a little over 200. 203.50, right? So they are getting a discount, but it's not because of volume, it's because of who they are. If we have, and minor hockey, Blue Water Hawks, figure skating, Strathroy-Caradoc youth hockey.
Sunday Men's League?
No.
No.
Anything that's youth focused, which is an organization, we'll get that preferred rate.
Paul, and then Councillor Pelkman.
Yeah, I just wanted to circle back to Councillor Wilsey's comments about the program in Mount Bridges. I just want to caution a little bit on the numbers there, and remember that we are still relatively in the infancy stage of developing programs in Mount Bridges. So in order to grow those, we sometimes have to go through a little pain, which will cost a little bit of money to build that momentum. The numbers are growing there. They did start really small, and sometimes they still will be, but they have grown quite a bit. So I put it out there so that we're not too hasty on just the raw data and the numbers, that we give some credence to time to build those as well. So.
Thank you. Councillor Pelkman.
Yes, thank you. I'm not against getting that analytical data, but I don't really see much use in it. Recreation is a blend of making sure that your pricing is comparable to what's around you, and also to make sure that you don't price yourself out of what people can afford, because if we took a strictly analytical look at what it costs to do recreation, we'd quickly find that we're canceling virtually every recreation program in the community, and then people would have nothing to do here, and then they're going to vacate the community like crazy, because they will go to those places where people have made decisions to have recreation programs. It is a political decision to how much recreation you want to have in your community, and certainly I agree with Paul. I was going to bring that point up too. When you're starting to try and diversify your recreation programs, you can't look at is it covering its cost right off the bat? If maybe after 3 or 4 years it's not, but I'm assuming that you're doing that kind of decision making anyways, then I would say yes. But to me, the most important analytical data that we can have is what is our total tax cost to all recreation together, and is that in line with what other communities are spending? And that's really the only number I think we need to pay attention to.
Okay, thank you. Councillor Kramer.
I agree with Councillor Pelkman. I am, though, interested in the non-resident comparison, because as Councillor Pelkman pointed out, the recreation programs are funded by taxpayer dollars. So if non-taxpayers are using the recreation, then I think there should be a surcharge. So I'm interested to see what the comparators look like and how other communities are dealing with that.
Director.
Through the chair to the committee, we'll gather all of that information that I suggested, the non-resident fee, the capital surcharge, as well as the non-resident waiting period. We'll gather all of that information, we'll bring it forward, and at the end of the day, council will give us direction, and we'll proceed on how council wants it to go.
Councillor Pelkman, and then Mayor Grantham.
I'll throw the elephant out of the room there, especially when one of our neighboring municipalities has millions of dollars of lawsuits against us, and we're allowing potentially allowing some of their residents to push out some of ours.
Mayor Grantham.
No, and it's a slippery slope, right? I mean, because we want to make sure that everybody pays their way, excuse me, but my comparator is a slippery slope. I mean, two of my grandsons, my youngest grandson plays hockey in Mount Bridges, but he practices in Kamoka and in Glencoe. So, it's reciprocal. And then the one grandson, the football player, he uses all of London's facilities, right? So it's kind of how do you decide what is right, 'Cause I agree that non-residents should maybe pay, but being on the receiving end of the largesse of other municipalities, because I'm with you, right, and taxpayers, but I go, okay, I'm getting some personal benefit out of other communities, so. It's an interesting discussion, Chair.
Okay. Paul?
The other piece that I'll add to that too is sometimes if we're going to add a surcharge on top of things, we may lose those registrations to other areas, which could end up costing us in the long run and not meeting those targets that we're looking at too. So I think we have to certainly weigh it out to see if there is a benefit, and yeah, in the end, if it ends up costing us more than it's making us.
Thank you. Any other comments on our schedule of fees? Good discussion.
If I
Director,
may, we were talking about cost recovery. This is just operational cost recovery. So not capital at all. So we were 47, we budgeted a 47% cost recovery on community services in 2024. I don't know what we actually have recovered. We'll know that once we get all the final numbers. We have budgeted in 2025 a 48% cost recovery. And in 2023, we ended up with about a 53% cost recovery. And we budgeted, I think at that time was 46% cost recovery. So we're very cognizant of trying to recoup as much money as we can. A lot of our comparator municipalities were recouping anywhere between 35 to 40% cost recovery. But it's really hard. It's hard to compare apples to apples in the municipal settings because, how we budget may be different than how another municipality budgets. So just to be cautious there. But we're pretty happy with what we've been doing. I know the Parks and Recreation Master Plan that we did in 2021 had us at 42% cost recovery, and other our comparator municipalities were in the 30s.
Okay, one more before we move on. Steve?
What's the biggest cost that, if you could bring it down, would make the most impact on charging those fees? And an example of that would be like, let's say they eliminated the carbon tax on natural gas. All of a sudden now you have a 20% drop in all your energy costs. Would that make the biggest impact? Or is it labor? Or is it capital upkeep?
Through the chair, the largest operational expense we have is labor, followed by utilities. The capital expense is, if we ignore the capital upkeep, we end up with a very large infrastructure deficit. We talk about roads, water, wastewater a lot with regards to deferred maintenance. Our vertical infrastructure is no different. Right, we have fire halls, police stations, arenas, libraries that are all considered infrastructure that have deferred maintenance applied to them. So it's not, we can't ignore them, but I also understand that we need to be careful where we place our dollars. If we were to eliminate the carbon tax, that would, as you said, 20% reduction. Our consumption has not drastically increased year over year, right? We've replaced all of our high intensity discharge lighting with LED. We've put in infrared refrigeration control, so we're actually freezing the surface of the ice and monitoring the surface of the ice as opposed to something that's 1.5 inches away, which makes the refrigeration plant run less, so we have less runtime, consuming less hydro. So our consumption is not high. It is all of those other fees attached to those utilities. No different than water, right?
Just to
Yeah, quick follow-up, yep.
So if we were to be petitioning somebody like the federal government or the provincial government in reliefs that we need to bring down the cost of living in this, if they were to bring down your utility cost, it would make quite a difference then to how much we could afford these recreational activities that we have.
Yes, but I would say if we were able to do that across the corporation, because another large consumer of hydro in the municipality is water, wastewater. With the number of pumps that they have throughout the municipality, it's huge, right? So if there was a reduction on the carbon tax or the elimination of the carbon tax, that would be of benefit. You know, I'm not a, what's the word I'm looking for? I'm not a climate change advocate, but what I can tell you is the climate is changing, right? So we've had hotter days than we've had before. We've had flash floods that we've never had before. I'm not saying that's because of climate change. I'm just saying the climate's changing. So how we manage that, that's above my pay grade.
One more. Last one.
Yeah.
Do you get charged GST like everybody else and not be able to claim that back, or can you claim that back?
We claim back 86% of our taxes. So we get a large portion of our taxes back.
On utilities?
Yes.
Okay, thank you. 7.3 Medal of Distinction Program, Director.
This is just on here to let you know that we're going to be reviewing that program. We have a committee set up that goes through all of the nominations, and we've asked for their input. I was, in putting the agenda together, I should have added the program in the agenda. I will circulate it out to the committee members after, and I ask that you take a look at it. If there's any suggestions how we can improve it, let us know, because that's something we're going to be working on over the summertime before we look for new nominees towards later in the year.
Okay. 7.4 Promotional Material, Caradoc Community Center, Weddings. Is that you, Director?
Sure. Kate can hop in too if she likes. We're looking at ways that we can better promote the Caradoc Community Center and try to increase its usage, especially in the summertime. The summertime, the facility does sit somewhat vacant. We do have I'm not sure if we have any weddings booked this year. We do have some weddings booked, 3 weddings booked this year. So we are looking at trying to figure out how we can better promote. I'm hoping to have a meeting with a partner in the near future to talk about an opportunity that we may be able to work together on. I'm not about to drop it here because I don't want my partners to be upset that I would bring it up, but I am in the process of meeting with some people to talk about something out in that area to help us with this.
Councillor Pelkman.
Only question I had, the picture of the couple, is that taken in the pavilion or is that someplace else?
That is in the pavilion this summer.
Perfect.
And the picture at the bottom, I believe, was a municipal staff Christmas party, if I'm not mistaken. No, I'm just kidding.
That's not me.
It is from the same wedding this summer.
Same wedding. Brad.
Thank you, Chair. How would I put this? How busy is it during the day, Rob, the community center?
I'm
On average.
going to slip that over to Kate.
Kate?
Currently, Monday to Friday, we have programs running every day.
So the day is pretty used up now, okay.
The day is pretty used up, and then weeknights are mostly booked for meetings as well.
That kills my idea then, thanks.
Steve, I had a question too, but you go first, Steve. Go ahead.
I was just wondering if they still run the dances out of there. I know we used to bring my kids there. It was the skating club that I think run it or ran it.
We haven't had that in quite some time. I do remember what you're talking about, though.
I have a question for Kate. So, the community center and the Lions Park pavilions go hand in hand based on what the couple would want? Is the two amenities work together?
So the Lions pavilions are booked through the Lions, so they would have to make those bookings separately.
Oh, okay.
So they would book and pay the Lions for the pavilion, and then the reception area would be booked through the municipality.
Okay. Steve?
When they run a wedding here, is there a staff member that has to attend right after the wedding is finished? Or do they close the hall up and then they come back in the morning on their regular schedule to look at the hall and make sure everything's in order?
I think we throw that to Kate.
Yeah, because I was just kind of wondering, because like if you're booking this out, would it be a potential that if we try to get it booked the whole time, that there could be discounted rates in time slots that aren't being utilized? But to go with Greg's point, there's no sense having someone drive out there and drive back again at a loss, right?
Kate, can you chime in on that?
Yes. So we do have a weekend rate. We're Friday, Saturday, and Sunday, which is what I recommend for any couple getting married there. You can set up on a Friday, have your wedding on the Saturday, tear down on the Sunday. You're not forcing your family to take everything out at midnight on a Saturday night. So we do already offer that rate. And then the staffing is through a third-party contractor. So I believe it's Huron Shores Cleaning is the contractor for the Caradoc Community Center. So they are tasked with locking up. The wedding that's in this brochure is actually, I was the wedding planner and officiant for, so I was pretty into it. It's one of my good friends. So we were able to arrange with Huron Shores to have somebody there to unlock the door and then relock the door at the end of the night, and they were really accommodating.
Thank you, Kate. Any other questions or comments regarding Caradoc Community Center and weddings? Councillor Wilson.
And just the only comment, it's more of a question actually, is with the minimum insurance policy. I know when, it's been quite a while since I was married, it's been like 15 years, but when we did it, the policy amount was lower, but I know one of the reasons we didn't book the Caradoc Community Center was how expensive the insurance was so that we could have alcohol there. So I don't know if there's a way that our insurance can be, maybe have a rider or something that's available for an increased fee that might be actually cheaper than that person getting a single-use day event for the, just if there's a way to help out to make it more attractive that might actually work for us as well.
Kate?
So it's a significant expense for the municipality to carry that $5 million insurance policy. We used to offer, so we currently offer a $2 million insurance policy through PIV, which is the program that most municipalities use. The $5 million insurance policy was actually significantly more expensive. So I've done some research, and on a 150 person wedding, it's about $160 for the insurance for the alcohol for the day.
Okay, thank you. Steve?
Is that liability insurance set by the liquor licensing board? Like, do they have a minimum that you have to have when you apply for the liquor license?
Through the chair, it's a recommendation of our insurance company.
Any other questions or comments? Councillor Pelkman?
This would be one of those areas where if the provincial government would limit lawsuits against municipalities like they did themselves, would be an area where they could save us a lot of money.
I sense a theme with you this evening, Councillor Pelkman. Any other comments or questions? All right, let's move on to 7.4.2, naming rights.
So thank you, Chair. Again, this is just another one of those items where we have created a brochure. We've had the ability to sell naming rights now for a few years, but we haven't promoted it. So one of the ideas is to try to get this stuff out into the public and see if there's anyone that would be interested in some naming rights. Now, the naming rights don't have to be for the entire facility. It could be for the multi-purpose room at the Gemini, which used to be called the Westcast Room. Westcast is no longer in the community, so it's no longer called the Westcast Room yet. We all call it the Westcast Room. But if we could find an organization that'd be willing to purchase those naming rights, then we would look at that. And there's the policy sets out the fee in related to what the naming rights value is worth. Now, that is always negotiable, as anything is. It's council's final decision on where we land on that kind of stuff. But we have to have somewhere where we can start, and the values that you see on the sheet is what's been approved by council.
I have a question about the West Mid. Is that name come with any heritage rights or whatnot, or naming rights could be added to the facility name in that particular facility?
Through the chair to the chair, that would be a council decision. I would suggest that the West Middlesex Memorial Center has a historical connotation, and I think there would be some difficulty in changing that name, considering it was built in honor of our veterans.
Thank you. Any questions or comments? Steve?
Is there a tax benefit to that? So if they're going to give you this amount of money, is it considered a donation in that case? So then there could be a potential tax benefit to doing that?
A donation requires nothing in exchange. So you come to me and give me $500 with no strings attached. This is naming rights, so you're getting something in return. So no, you wouldn't. It would not be a charitable tax receipt.
I have another question. I'm probably wrong, but I'm going to ask it anyways. Is the ball diamond at the Fairgrounds Recreation Complex under the municipality or not?
The ball diamond is under the municipality at the fairgrounds, yes.
Okay,
And
so
it has an honorific naming to it. It's the Doug Welch Memorial.
okay, so that would not be added to that. Okay.
Correct.
Any other questions or comments regarding naming rights? Okay. Inquiries or comments by members. We'll start with Brad.
I'm good tonight, Mr. Chairman.
Councillor Palmer.
Okay, thank you.
Councillor Pelkman.
Since this is the first meeting we've had since Christmas, just really want to congratulate the staff on that downtown market. Holy mackerel, was that packed and busy. I was just floored how busy that was, so good job.
Thank you. Kate Totten. Paul Latimer.
I actually just wanted to comment to piggyback on a comment of Steve's earlier about the market keeping people in the downtown on weekends instead of going out of town. One of our goals for both our rec programs and all of our programs and events is just that, to keep them in town and keep them in the community. That's why we've started adding party packages to our menus so that people don't have to go to London to do birthday parties. That's why we've tried to expand both our recreation and our camp programs so that people don't have to go out of town for those things. When they keep them here, and it's part of Give Camp as an example, we add extended hours so that people can make it to work out of town and then also leave their kids later for a nominal fee and do shopping in town. So those are the things it's always been our goal as a department, to make sure that we're doing things that keep people in the community more than just the direct programs. So.
Thank you, Paul. Darren Downing.
Nothing tonight, thank you.
Mayor Grantham, thanks for joining us. Did you have anything to add?
Yeah, there's a microphone, you know I'm gonna say something. No, I just wanna thank everybody on the committee. I know the staff and elected officials, but those who are here and give their time. It's good work, so I appreciate it. I know everybody's busy, right, so I appreciate it, but I'm just gonna talk about the cost of recreation, and my mind has actually flipped in the last little while. I want to explain to the group why, if you indulge me. I had a lot of talk recently about helping people out, and I had somebody in my office today talking about soup kitchens for working poor. You know, people are struggling to be day-to-day life and that, and people who you wouldn't expect, you know, with families that are out there. So I think anything we can do as a community to add recreation and some enjoyment to people's lives that is of a low cost, I think that's important. I think especially now when people are struggling and they're feeling the effects of the economy. So my thinking has actually done a 360 in the past few months, just in talking to people and understanding the needs and what just a little bit of recreation can do for families. I think it's important work. So I think it's something we should really strive to keep going for the community.
Thank you, Mayor. Thanks for joining us this evening. Steve?
No, all good.
Councillor Wilsey?
No, nothing tonight.
Sherry?
Just one thing. I just wanted to express my sincerest gratitude for this committee itself and for the council and council members that helped to approve Caradoc Home and School to put their event on at our lovely Caradoc Community Center in Mount Bridges. Things are going really well with it, and with that exceptional help, it's going to be a great event, and it's really going to help take a lot of stress and pressure off of running the event itself, so we can have a really great show for everyone.
Thank you, Sherry. I was hoping that you would mention your event with your team. Director Littleborn.
Thank you, Chair. Thank you to the committee. Thank you for your worship for being here. I'm surprised Kate didn't mention this as it went by her, but we have a fantastic event that's going to be occurring at the Caradoc Community Center on Family Day. It starts at 2 p.m. At the Caradoc Community Center, and it is for all families, for the municipality. So you live in Strathroy, make that 15-minute drive south and have a great time in Mount Bridges at one of your community centers. So looking forward to seeing everyone there.
Are we advertising? This first I've heard about it.
I understand it'll be on local radio tomorrow.
And it's on our Facebook page.
Is it? Okay, thank you.
And website and so on.
And local media.
All the magazines that go out as well.
Okay.
Thank you, Director. I was going to mention the Family Day thing too, because I was surprised that Kate didn't mention it, but yeah, thank you for doing that. I want to say thank you to the committee too, and the members of council who join us every month. Appreciate it. And if you really want some exciting stuff, I have 2 all candidates meetings to let you know about with the provincial election coming up. There's one all candidates meeting happening for Lambton Kent Middlesex on February the 19th. 7 o'clock start at the Strathroy Portuguese Canadian Club. It's free to the public to attend. There's also one the night after, also for Lambton Kent Middlesex, riding in Alvinston at the arena in Alvinston on the 20th at 6:30 p.m. in case you want to get out and hear what your candidates have to say. Our next meeting will be Tuesday, March the 11th, 2025 at 6 p.m. start. And I'll need a mover and a seconder to adjourn. Brad and Councillor Wilsey, thank you for joining us, and thank you to those of you at home. Good evening and good night.